Oh. Satchidanandarupaya Vishvotpatyadihetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Numaha. Janmadhyasya yatonvayaditarataschatteshvabhignaswarat Tene brahmahradaya adikavaye muhyanti yatsurayaha Tejo varimridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrsha Dhamna svena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam Vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam tapatrayon mulanam Shrimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim va parerishvaraha Sadyo hridyavarudyate trakritibihi Shushrushubistatkshanat. We'll begin with 1 minute of invoking toughness and evoking hope. Hari Om and greetings from Niagara Falls. Many stories and many movies flow with the theme of good versus bad. Everyone agrees? Yes. Srimad Bhagavatam is no different. What we're doing in our course, Vedanta in Bhagavata, is to focus on the good. Because as you think, so you develop. And only when you're established in goodness, your steadiness and sincerity will lead you to greatness. The flow of Srimad Bhagavatam is now towards greatness. As you think, so you develop, from goodness to greatness. The most recent narration in Srimad Bhagavatam we've been exploring is highly symbolic. This is known as Gajendra Moksha Prasanga, the narration of the freedom of the Elephant King. I'm going to share some more Vedanta about this narration before we continue to our next episode. Gajendra and the crocodile are actually us. An animal is one who only lives by perception, by pashu. Sorry, pashu lives by pashyati. An animal lives by sight. We're like that too. We're like great animals in the sense that we are vertical. We can communicate in different languages. And proof of that, the lake that Gajendra goes into is actually a lake of pleasure. Aren't we always looking to be in more pleasure? Eat this, drink this, watch this, listen to this. And as we're in this lake of pleasure, we're tricking ourselves. We have this vikshepa that we will experience peace. Has that happened for us? No. How can pleasure create peace? Conversely, what does happen, the crocodile in this lake of pleasure symbolizes death. The more deeply you go into pleasure, the faster your body will age and your mind will become afraid. And see how that death holds on to that elephant, holds on to us. And we in our ego feel others will help us as we age and die. We think we can help ourselves as we age and die. Remember, none of those elephants, family or friends, nor Gajendra was able to help himself come out of that lake of pleasure. Everyone's with me? This is a serial about ourselves. Once Gajendra comes to understand and appreciate how powerless he is, then he surrenders to the one who is powerful. In our egos, we think we are the one who's powerful. Me bowing down my head is a sign of weakness. When conversely, the more sensitive you are to living, you come to understand and appreciate that we are powerless. I can't make my body do this. I can't make my mind do this. I can't make my wife do this. I can't make my kids do this. In Gajendra's surrender to the powerful, his prayer evolves from protection to realization. There's a change in his sense of security. Someone who's more gross-minded wants outer protection. I want a gate, I want a gun, I want a savings account. Someone who's more thoughtful, they want inner security. That's called realization. I don't want to feel small. I don't want to feel separate. Bhagwan, our creator, and our Sadguru, our guide, will come to us in the form that we want, the form that we need. In the case of Gajendra, he needed someone to steal his bondage, to steal his ignorance. So, Bhagavan Narayana came as Hari. This is the first time that we're being introduced to Hari. Hari means the one who's a thief. In Chinmaya mission, we have a tradition to say Hari Om. Generally, people say Namaste. We say Hari Om because there's a lot of messaging behind this. When I say Hari Om to you, what I'm asking is for you, for us, for the Creator to come and be a thief of my ignorance of who I am. And once that's stolen, what remains? Om. Om is the Creator. Om is the divine. This same idea is presented in the word Upanishad. I'm going to show you how Upanishad relates to this portion of Srimad Bhagavatam. The word upa means near, to go near. If you've ever seen an image of Gajendra, you see that one or two of his legs are out of the water. Almost three, because he still has to balance on two. And his trunk is outreached and that lotus is thrown in the air. He's trying to be nearer to Hari, no? The word ni, N-I, is nishchayena, which means with determination. You will not be stopped from the outside or inside. And this is what Gajendra comes to appreciate, that I need to be more determined in calling out to the Creator. And finally is, so I said upa, ni, shad. Shad also means avasadhana. Avasadhana, which means destruction. Avasadhana is destruction. When you go near to the Guru and God with determination, your sense of dependent joy will be destroyed, and what will remain is independent joy. So Gajendra shows very lovingly what this feeling of Upanishad is. Final thought before we move on. A crocodile and an elephant are released by the Creator. Why wouldn't you be released? Yes. Our Creator is not giving special attention to stones and plants and animals. We also have that access, that opportunity. Hold on. Hold on to those who are faithful. Invoke that faith. This is exactly what Rishi Kapila told his mother, this old woman who knows that she has very little left in terms of being free. And he says to her, when you attach to those who are detached, you too will become detached. You will age graciously. You will die fearlessly. And now we come to one of the most famous portions of Srimad Bhagavatam, and that is the churning of the Milky Ocean. Everyone's ready. A lot of you, physically, I can see already, and how attractive you're looking, because this is a celebration. Have any of you been to Bangkok before? Thailand? When I was there in 2005, at the Bangkok airport, they have a huge mural of the churning of the Milky Ocean. So now you'll get to know the details of this. We're on the 8th skanda, the 5th adhyaya, section 8, chapter 5, the 48th shloka, the 48th verse, where Bhagwan Brahma is having a dialogue with Bhagwan Narayana. Bhagwan Brahma, Bhagwan Narayana. I'll read. Navama karma kalpopi biphala yeshwararpitaha kalpate purushasyesha sahyatma daito hitaha. What Bhagwan Brahma shares here, this is a hymn. He's praising Bhagwan Narayana. If an action is insignificant and or imperfect, insignificant, washing the dishes. Imperfect, not rinsing the dishes enough before you put them in the dishwasher. If this is arpitaha, if this is offered to the divine, then this insignificant action becomes significant. The imperfect action becomes perfect. The nature of the Creator is to be the closest to us, to be most compassionate to us. That's what Bhagavan Brahma is saying to Bhagavan Narayana, because Bhagavan Brahma also knows that he is powerless, but knows Bhagavan Narayana is powerful, and a powerful presence will always lift you up, not pull you down. Okay. Why is Bhagavan Brahma speaking to Bhagavan Narayana? Typical. Indra, he has become arrogant. He keeps going from arrogance to non-arrogance, arrogance to non-arrogance. And he insults, of course, Rishi Durvasa. And Rishi Durvasa is quick to put people in their place. And so Indra's power goes away. Since he's the security of the devatas, then they all become weak. And opposite to them is Bali, Mahabali. And he's under the guidance of Shukracharya. So the asuras are strong, and they, as if the bad is now defeating the good. So what does Indra, the suras do? They go to Bhagavan Brahma. Bhagavan Brahma realizes he can't help them, so he goes to Bhagavan Narayana. That's how this dialogue is happening. Okay, some thoughts. Bhagavan Brahma, the creator of this creation, cannot remove challenges. Please understand and appreciate that. Bhagavan Brahma cannot remove challenges, rather can only guide us through those challenges. This is like the law of karma. If you committed a crime, that crime, the punishment for that crime will come to you. You cannot escape that. However, if you have the right guide, a guide will teach you how to embrace that punishment, how to be stronger than that punishment. Yes? So that's to be noted. Whatever challenges we're going through in life, instead of praying for the challenge to go, pray to understand the purpose. Because then it's not a problem, it's simply training. When Bhagavan Brahma and the suras go to Bhagavan Narayana, they start to describe him as the protector. There's a creator, a protector, and a destroyer, yes? The creator is of the nature of rajas, it's aggressiveness. The destroyer is of the nature of tamas, laziness. They're sharing to Bhagavan Narayana, you are of the nature of sattva, and sattva is that which protects. So now internalize this. We're always looking for outside protection, but the real protection is when you become more sattvic, no? The message here is protect yourself. That's the subtlety of this exchange. I've shared with all of you again and again and again that more important than the what is the why. More important than the significance and perfection of an action is why. Why are you engaging in this action? This is especially relevant right now when so many of us, our service, our professional lives, that's all being changed, yes? And so some people are developing a complex, an insecurity complex or inferiority complex, that what am I doing during this challenge? You don't have to engage in flashy actions, flashy volunteering. Find meaning in your own responsibilities. That's what the Creator wants for you. That's what's best for you. As a reminder or a visualization, practice tapa. Tapa is where there's concentration and purification. So as soon as we're finished class, whatever you're doing, concentrate on what you're doing. If it's preparing lunch, if it's drying clothes, if it's speaking to your parents, with concentration and purification is the why. Why are you doing this? Near the end of this dialogue, Bhagavan Brahma and the Suras are asking for help from Bhagavan Narayana. Rishi Shuka says that Bhagavan Narayana can resolve this whole circumstance by himself, correct? Put Bali in his place, make Indra strong. There's an awesome statement that is shared here. I'll read it to you. Vihartu kamastanaha samudron manthanadibihi. Bhagavan Narayana, he wants to see the churning of the Milky Ocean. He wants this Leela to happen. He can do it all by himself, but he's looking to have some fun. And so, the churning of the Milky Ocean. I'm moving on to the 6th chapter, the 25th verse, 625. This is a detail that I didn't know about either until I started studying Bhagavatam in detail. Na bhetavyam kala kutad vishajaladi sambhavat lobha karyo navo jatu roshas kamastu vastushu. Now Bhagavan Narayana is responding to Bhagavan Brahma and all of the Suras and says, when you churn this Milky Ocean, there are going to be poisons and treasures that will come out. Do not be afraid of the poison. And when the treasures come, do not be greedy or angry. Understood? So no fear, no greed, no anger. No fear of the poison, no greed and anger towards the treasures. Now, everything you know about the churning of the Milky Oceans, did the Suras listen? When that poison came out, were they not afraid? Of course they were afraid. When the treasures came out, were they greedy or not greedy? When they were being tricked, were they angry or not angry? Nobody listens. Isn't that the case? The Suras never listened to Bhagavan Narayana. Shishyas never listened to gurus. What's so amazing about what we're being exposed to right now, we are listening in on the dialogue between the creator and the generator and the operator. Like, you want to know God, right? This is what the gods said to each other. This is what they're saying to each other. What a bhagya, what a fortune we have to be able to listen in on this dialogue. So Bhagavan Narayana already knew what was going to happen in the churning of the Milky Ocean. Yes, this statement clearly shares that. So coming back to a favorite thought of all of ours, free will or God will? Because according to what we're studying right now, there's no sense of God will. There is only Hari Ichcha. You should burn that idea in your mind. Hari Ichcha, and if you put that together, it becomes Haricha. Whenever you have a discussion with someone, whenever you think about life, you should say it out loud. Haricha. If Hari wants this, this will happen. If Hari doesn't want this will not happen. A great practice in humility. I think in Islam, they use a reference of inshallah. Yes. So, Hari Icha. That's shared in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, let's get into the details of this narration. The Suras and the Asuras make a contract. We are going to churn this milky ocean because on the bottom of this ocean is Amrita. Amrita means that which will stop us from dying. Already nobody is listening. Do they think that there's such thing as Amrita outside? But they don't listen. So they make this contract. The first part is to bring the rod to churn this milky ocean. So what do they use? The Mandara mountain. So they have to go and lift this Mandara mountain, and there's lots of strong people. Bali, Indra. And they lifted it, but it was too hard to carry, so eventually they dropped it. And lots of hands and arms were torn off. A lot of the beings were crushed. And they felt dejected. In that moment came Bhagavan Narayana on Garuda. And just looking at all of the people who are injured, he was able to revive them. And then he picked up that mountain on his palm and he was just throwing it like a ball. Almost sarcastically, hey, look at how weak all of you are. And then he flies over to the Milky Ocean and places that mountain in the middle. So the ocean is there, the mountain is there. Now they need a rope. So they ask Vasuki, this gigantic snake. They tie this snake around the Mandara mountain and they position themselves. So how they position themselves is the Asuras are at the tail and the Suras are at the head. And they're about to start, and the Asuras feel, we're all noble. We shouldn't have to be at the tail of the snake. We want to be at the head of the snake. And Bhagavan Narayana just winked at the Asuras and said, just agree to whatever they want. And so they switched. So now the Asuras are at the mouth and the Suras are at the tail. Yes? Okay. And this churning starts. So now as they're churning, this mountain is so heavy, this mountain keeps on sinking. So Bhagavan Narayana appears as Kurma. Bhagavan Kurma. This tortoise comes in, goes underneath that mountain, and then props up that mountain. So now that mountain is on the back of Kurma, and what is described is that mountain was like scratching in a pleasant way the back of Kurma. So now they are churning, but they're going so fast that now the mountain starts rising. So Bhagavan Narayana comes again, this time in the form of another mountain, and sits on top of that mountain. So you have a mountain on top of a mountain, and you have the base, this tortoise, and everyone's churning this Milky Ocean. And one more point here, which we tend not to know, is that Bhagavan Narayana manifests as a Sura and an Asura. He goes on both sides of this serpent, and he's cheering both sides on. You've seen that in like dragon boat racing, right? The person who's keeping that rhythm, or the person beating the drums. So that's Bhagavan. And what makes you love Bhagavan so much, he manifests as anesthesia for Vasuki. Imagine how much pain that serpent would be going on, being pulled, being crushed in the middle. So he manifests as anesthesia, so he doesn't feel that pain. But there still is motion. And so out of the mouth of Vasuki comes what I just read, Kala Kuta. Kuta means a heap. And Kala here means blackness, poison. This poison is known as Hala Hala, the most dangerous physical substance there is. Hala Hala. When this started coming out of Vasuki's mouth, everyone was burning. Those nearby, those far away, and nobody knew what to do. They paused for a moment and they thought about who is the most expert with snakes? Who's always around snakes? They thought, who is the expert? Who is always around that which society doesn't want? And so who did they think of? Bhagwan Shiva. He's an expert with snakes, correct? And he keeps all that we don't want. So they approach Bhagwan Shiva and share, this is happening. And you're an expert in this, so help us. And Bhagwan Shiva listened carefully. And you know what he did next? He asked Devi Sati. He never made a unilateral decision. He asks her. He shares with her. I am Bholenath. I am Shankara. I am Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. They need my help. Do I have your blessings to go and help them? Do you think she would have said no? That's one thing we need to learn, is that if you just ask for permission, people are going to give you permission, correct? We're always of that strategy is just do it and ask for forgiveness. Ask for permission. You won't have to ask for forgiveness. So Devi Parvati shares, of course, and he goes and collects all of that poisonous substance and as if drinks it. He's Bhagwan Shiva. He controls his body. He kept it in his throat. And this is not shared in Bhagavatam, but you may have read this poetically, is that Devi Sati comes and puts her hands on his throat, not allowing that poison to go further. She never did that. We just like to visualize that, it's so romantic, so Bollywood. Bhagwan Shiva's skin is white. White like the moon, white like jasmine, white like snow. And because of that poison, his neck turned blue. And from this narration, he became known as Nila Kanta. Now, one final thought about this, the Katha, and then some Vedanta. What's fascinating about the Suras and Asuras is that when they didn't want a substance, they shared this with Bhagwan Shiva. But when all of the other substances came out, they never shared it with him, correct? So indicative of us, right? Okay, let's get into the Vedanta of this narration. Shravana is bringing all of the materials to the Milky Ocean. Where is the Milky Ocean? It's your personality. Why this is not a water ocean? If this was a water ocean, you can see what's inside, no? But you can't see what's inside of a milky glass, a milky dish. When we engage in listening, it's like we have all of the materials to begin to know who we are. Manana is when you start to churn up that ignorance. When we start to engage in reflection, we come to understand and appreciate all of our weaknesses, our vices, our ignorance, yes? If you never reflect, you're the perfect person. As soon as you begin reflecting, so much jealousy, so much insecurity, so much fear. Nididhyasana is when we start to reach or go past the ignorance and we start to reach insight, which we call knowledge. That I'm not ignorant. I'm not the Hari, I am the Om. That's at the bottom, correct? You go layer through layer, body, breath, mind, intellect, ego. And what's at the deepest part? The spirit. So this milky ocean is you. And the churning is Shavana, Manana, Nididhyasana. With Manana, you're going to touch ignorance. With Nididhyasana, you're going to touch knowledge. When the Asuras and Suras were first placed, and then the Asuras complained and they switched positions, the Vedanta behind this is, whenever you are assigned to seva, accept it. The person who assigned this to you probably knows more than you do. Probably knows you and the plan better than you. So accept that. And accept that means don't complain. Don't criticize. Don't judge. See what happened to the Asuras? That's what an Asura does. Complains, criticizes, judges. They're the ones who got burned. Okay. Now let's think about Bhagavan Shiva. That poison, let's internalize this as negativity. Suppose someone is negative to you through their actions or their words. If you swallow that poison, what do you become? Bitter. You swallow that poison, that negativity reaches your heart pumps blood everywhere then, right? You become negative. And then anything that comes out of you, you'll be spitting the same poison, the same negativity. So let it not reach your heart. Now here's one more point. Let that poison not reach your head. See, it doesn't go down here, but it can still go this way, yes? When the poison or negativity reaches your head, you become a bragger then. So one becomes bitter, one becomes a bragger. Look at how accepting I am. Look at how disciplined I am. I'm the most disciplined person I know. See all of the negativity I took from you. So now that poison's reached my head, and anything I think will always be negative then. But Bhagavan Shiva keeps it here. And finally, did you visualize this journey of the Milky Ocean? The mountain. Who carried the mountain finally? Bhagavan Narayana. Vasuki. Who owns Vasuki? Bhagavan Narayana. When the mountain sinks, who lifts it up? Bhagavan Narayana. When the mountain rises, who pushes it down? Bhagavan Narayana. Who's on both sides cheering everyone on? Bhagavan Narayana. In every direction, there is only Bhagavan Narayana. I've been sharing this again and again and again about creation. If you live vigilantly, carefully, you will, in every direction, come to understand and appreciate Bhagavan Narayana. Oh.